Welcome to the Evolvepreneur podcast channel, which is sponsored by Evolvepreneur.biz, a new online community-based platform designed to help develop your skills and knowledge to be massively successful in this new digital age. Your host today is John North, who is a 3-time #1 international best-selling author and strategic marketer. John's passion is to help business owners to master the online marketing world.
Welcome to Evolvepreneur podcast. Our special guest today is Jim Miller. Jim specialises in helping coaches, consultants and trainers to develop and launch high-ticket offers. Jim has been selling professionally for over 25 years to companies like Microsoft, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, Google, and he has over $100 million worth of sales of products and services in that time. Welcome, Jim. Glad you could make it today.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thanks for having me on.
Great. So tell me a little bit about your background, where you got and how you got to be where you are today.
Well, good question. I've been at this for quite a while, but basically I've been selling professionally, as you mentioned, for many, many years, over 25 years, and I was getting to a point where I needed to move on. So I decided that, of course, I would move into marketing from selling, because marketing and selling are, really compatible and about the same thing, right?
Sure.
Well, not. I left my company and started my own marketing company and said, I can do this. And boy, within 6 months, I was sweating. So I went through a big learning curve with that. And but it was good. I stuck with it, hung with it, and learned a lot about digital marketing. Got connected with guys like Ryan Deiss and Perry Belcher and Perry Marshall and all these gurus. And I just started reading and just absorbing all this great marketing stuff that's out there now, and trying different things and starting different digital marketing companies and trying to sell. And boy, I was just spinning a lot of wheels, but I'm learning a ton of stuff.
Right. Yep.
And so, it's a process of getting started. And then finally, I've met with a gentleman that I'm currently business partners with, and we created a really cool program that both of us are now offering to coaches, consultants, and trainers. And so it's turning out to be a lot of fun and well worth all the effort.
That's good. I mean, I think it's a journey, not the destination, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely the journey. It's a heck of a lot different than the corporate life I was living.
I think one of the biggest problems is when you work for another business, you don't realise how much stuff they do around that business that then you have to do yourself. So all the admin and all the accounts work and the marketing, all that sort of stuff, which is all done for you, suddenly you have to do it all yourself.
Yeah. It's like, where's John? Where's Joe? Or where's Sam? I need somebody to help me with this stuff. I don't have the bandwidth to do it all myself. And of course, there's nobody there when you call, so you just got to get up and get it done.
That's right, and I think that's the thing. Is another thing we'll probably talk about at some point is people trying to do everything themselves, and the time it takes. So to a point, it's great to learn, but sometimes you got to look at it and think, I'm not going to learn HTML. I'm not going to learn this. I'm going to get someone to do it because it's cheaper than paying myself to do it, essentially.
Right, and that's why I decided to partner up with Joe von Grichten. He's my business partner, and he's an expert at doing the back end stuff, building websites, and he's great with Facebook, and he's just an awesome technical guy. Plus, he's a nice guy, so it just worked out really well. We have a lot of fun together.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you can partner with someone who's got the techie skills, then you don't have to worry about it. Then it saves a lot of money because they're not going to make your mistakes you would make because you didn't know.
Yeah, we can get started a little faster. You got to split the check when it comes in, but yeah, it's worth it.
So one of the things that sort of tweaked my interest when I first got introduced with you was the high ticket sort of scenario, and then the fact that a lot of people undervalue their time and their ability, and then therefore their actual charge out rates and stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about the high ticket concept and what you're achieving there.
That's a great question. What we a couple of years ago when Joe and I got together, we started working with coaches and trainers on a one-on-one basis and helping them to automate their sales and marketing. We worked with some really great coaches. They're authors and speakers, and they had products that they were selling online and selling great, but they were getting burnt out. They were spending so much time keeping all those balls up in the air and floating and keeping the business going. So they were looking for kind of a way to automate and leverage their time better through technology. So we came in and we created some really cool funnels and did some upsells, downsells, one-time offers, bumps, got the email systems going with the nurturing campaigns and ascension campaigns, and did all this really cool stuff. And looked at a ton of different scenarios and got software that we could use to look at conversion rates and all, inputs, outputs of these different funnel configurations, and started noticing that, unless you've got a high ticket offer in a funnel over time, especially if you're placing ads like on Facebook or LinkedIn, you're going to end up right where you were again. You got to have a high ticket offer to get over the hump. You got to get something out there that adds value enough so that you can make enough cash flow to actually have this all make sense financially. So we decided that that was the way to go, and we figured out a way to do it with this course that we created.
Okay, cool. So what? To take me to a journey of someone, like a process someone might go through, and what the sort of the outcomes might be like.
Yeah, well, it's like the coaches that we work with they've been at it for a while, most of them, and so they've got an outcome that they provide to their clients, probably giving it to them on a one-on-one basis, over charging maybe an hourly rate of $100 to $200 an hour, right? And so what we do is we take that outcome and we put that into we break it up and we put it into like an 8-week course. And then we offer that in a group environment now. So it's taking that course that's really doing well on a one-on-one basis, and we break it up into 8 weeks, and we say, okay, the outcome you're going to get is you're going to be able to achieve that in this 8-week period. And then we back up into the number of weeks, and we create this course with it, and we put that up online. And then we create messaging. We know that we work very heavily on messaging within our course to teach them about that. So they work on their USP, their unique selling proposition. They work on their avatar, which is really a characterization of their ideal client. And we work on their what we call an affinity character. Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels talks about that in his book. That's called .com Secrets. Great book, by the way, if you haven't read it.
I read it a few times. I probably read it over Christmas last year, I think the year before, and it's blew my mind because it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome book. So, I learned a lot from that. And so we take that whole idea and we create messaging around it. And the idea of once you know your avatar and you know their pain points, their misery, then we take that and we create one big problem that we solve with our solution. And we focus on that, and then we build our whole webinar around that one big problem. And Perry Marshall calls it the bleeding neck, right? Yep. It's the idea that they've got this problem that's so bad they need to get to the hospital right now. And if you were an ambulance driver and you came up to them, which most people do in their marketing, is they'll come up and they'll say, for example, I'm an ambulance driver. I see you're sitting there on the street. You're bleeding, and boy, you're going to die in like 10 minutes. But I want to tell you about my ambulance. It's great. It's got really cool lights. It'll get you from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and it's really comfortable. And you're sitting there looking at the guy going, just get me to the hospital, right? So
just solve my problem.
Just get me to the destination. I don't need to know the procedure to get me to the hospital. I don't need to know the process. Just tell me. Just tell me you can get me there safe and let's go. And that's kind of what we do in our marketing. We notice that they've got a bleeding neck, and we come up to them and say, hey, I got this ambulance. I can get you in there, and we can take you to the hospital right away. You want to ride? Yes. And the sales process can be kind of that simple, as long as you've got your messaging set up right. And it's actually a lot less expensive once you know your avatar and you know your target market. You can laser focus on their pain points and understand their demographics and their psychographics, which are not to get too detailed here, but the demographics are where they went to school, how old they are, and how many kids they have, and not own but have, and how many cars they drive and where they vacation and some of that stuff. And then the psychographics are their emotional stuff, like what their biggest fears are, what brings them joy, what's their biggest pain that they've got, and you understand all that stuff, and then once you get that, then you can target your ads in Facebook very specifically, and it actually costs you less to do that. So you end up putting your ads in front of the best prospects, spending the least amount of money and getting the greatest conversions when you do that. So that's why we take a lot of time up front in our course to spending that valuable resource of time to create the basis of this marketing program and the messaging. It's really critical. And then the techie stuff, putting the funnel together, once you've got all this messaging done, the funnel whole thing is basically point and click.
Because you've already set up the hard work at the start. Like, I think a lot of people, they ignore that avatar side of things. They look at it and it's all too hard. What do I think about my customer? But
exactly.
To me, I think about your best customer, the one that you would love 100 of, and that's the easiest place to start for a lot of people. I think sometimes you get into this avatar thing and you go, well, describe all these things, and they just go blank on you. Right. And sometimes I say, look, just pick your best customer, think about that person and what attributes they've got. Because if you get 100 of them, then you're making fair stack of money, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the money's in the messaging. If you understand copywriting and how to message and that's where in this whole digital marketing game, I think the guys that are doing the best financially are the ones that know how to write copy, and it's not that hard to learn. It just takes time, and you got to be disciplined to make copy. You got to write every day. And I'm doing that too. I get up and I write something every day. That's part of my morning ritual now. Is getting up and I write something.
It's like a
paragraph.
Habit, I suppose.
Yeah, you make it a habit, and then you learn from the masters. There's a really cool course called Copy Hour. John Lee Dumas puts it on, and it's awesome. If you want to learn how to do copy, get plugged into that. He doesn't let everybody in. He's it's a really popular course, and you gotta catch it when he's offering it. But if you can catch a ride in that course and you want to do some copywriting, it's a great way to get started.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's the key to the messaging. A lot of times I'll go to, particularly when you talk about coaches, consultants, and those sort of websites, you go to their website and you realise that maybe it looks very pretty, but there may not be any sort of call to action. There's no real pathway to go from to do anything. So they look at it and go, oh, it's all too confusing. And a confused mind doesn't buy, so they just move on to the next site. 7 seconds later, you've lost them. And they'll never be back in that situation because they've already made the decision that you're not suitable.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough if you get started on the wrong foot. If you're brand new and you're looking for a way to go, and you're not really clear on your offering, you're not really clear on who you're serving, and you're not really clear on where to find people, and you don't have confidence. It's tough to get started. So you need somebody to help you. That's why coaches are so important. Even if you can just get into a group course where you're group coaching program where you just start learning basic marketing and basic selling, and also try to partner up with people who are complementary to your passion. If you know what your passion is and you're really good at maybe operations, or you're really good at selling, or you're really good at manufacturing, then figure out how to get involved with people who do things that you need your business to have in place, but that you're not good at. So, if you're really good with marketing, find a sales guy and an operations guy. Yeah,
I saw something recently that talk about find out what your superpowers are, what you're really good at, and what you can deliver, and then look at what you're really bad at, and don't do it. Like, because what happens is somebody says, "Oh, can you do this for me?" So you go do it, and you think, "I'm going to make a mess of this. It's not really what I do. It's going to end badly. I'm going to have an upset client." Yet I do it anyway. Because of the money, or because the clients asked you to do it, whatever the case may be, and you end up in a situation where it's going to be a disaster. You're not very good, say, at project management, and they want you to manage your project. And I guess in a corporate world, they protect you from that because they know that your job isn't to do that.
Right.
So you don't do that. It's not my job. But when you're when you're a solopreneur or whatever in your own business, then everything's your job.
Everything, yeah. You have no boundaries at all, and that's a tough thing to realize. I tell you what, and it's a challenge every single day to understand what's the best use of my time today.
And will you pay yourself to do that work too? I think if you said, well, how much is that? How much would I pay someone to do that? And say it's $10 an hour, and you said, would you pay yourself $10 an hour to do that? And you go, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
because it ain't worth it. Like I'd go broke at that rate.
Well, yeah. If you don't have $10 though, then you maybe sometimes you got to do it. If you're just getting started.
But I think you've got to be smart about it. And I think that's the thing. You need to. I think a lot of cases, particularly when you're starting off, is that yes, do it to start with, but then try and find a way to get out of it as quick as possible.
Yeah. And also that clock, man. That clock is relentless. It just every second ticks away, and that time that you're losing every day by not being efficient and not really planning ahead. It's like, what's that old saying with I think it was maybe as Abe Lincoln said, I would rather spend an hour. If I had an hour to chop a tree down, maybe it was George Washington here. He said, if I had an hour to chop a tree down, I'd spend 50 minutes of that sharpening my axe.
Yes. Yeah.
So take the time and figure it out. Spend some time understanding, and then go execute when you've got a really solid plan together. Otherwise, you're going to end up wasting a ton of time and resources and money. Get involved with tools, online tools. This is the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
We've all had that, but it's the more you can minimize that. And again, coaching, getting involved with a really good coach, will help you kind of bridge all that and get you to the destination a lot faster.
So walk me through the high ticket concept. So say I'm a coach and I come in and I'm charging, let's say, $100 an hour. Mm-hmm. And I'm working long hours, and I'm really not making a lot of money, and I'm really in that situation. I'll probably have to keep on feeding the funnel, so I'm going to have to keep on adding more and more clients on. So it's a vicious cycle,
right?
And you talk about high ticket items. Where would that coach go from, say, $100? What would you suggest that they would do? Like, should they double their price, triple their price?
Well, what we do is we look at it from a system standpoint. If you've got a business that you're running and you've got an ongoing set of clients that you're working, and you've got a process, right? Then we can take that process and we can automate it. So ideally, they'll have an ongoing thing happening, and what we do is we have what we call an enroll to your goal system. Mm-hmm. And so what that is our funnel, and it's completely scalable. So you start with 1,000 clicks at the front in your traffic, and then it goes to a webinar, and you get a conversion rate of about 20%. So you start with 1,000 clicks, and you'll get 200 people at $1 a click on Facebook, for example. Mm-hmm. So you'll get 200 people that opt in for your webinar. Okay, and then the next item is the webinar, and you'll get probably a 50% conversion on that. So half the people that decided that they wanted to be on the webinar will actually be there. So you get 100 people in there out of the 1,000. And then from there it goes to an application for a strategy call. And from there you'll get maybe another 20% conversion. So 20 people will actually go on a strategy call with you. And then in the end, it breaks down to maybe 2 or 3 people that actually enroll in your high-ticket course. So when you look at all that, in the beginning you spent $1,000, $1 a click on Facebook, and you end up with 2 to 3 people that enroll into your high-ticket course for, say you're charging $3,000 for your course. Mm-hmm. So you spend $1,000 to make $6,000.
And I guess that's an important thing to talk about, because I did this process with someone the other day, and when we worked the math backwards, in order to get, like, if you look at it and go, well, how much money do I have to spend to get that initial traffic, to get that thing started?
Right.
And it looked like, I said, look, it looks like $20,000 you're going to have to spend over the next year to get your goals that you want to achieve.
Right.
So you've only got 2 options, and then of course maybe the payoff is good, but it's more risk. The higher you price at the other end, it means you need to get less people. So your conversion rate by default can be better.
Right. Yeah.
And you get better at selling then.
Yes. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I see. People, the coaches, it's all about the value and the value you're bringing. And boy, I tell you what, there's so many coaches out there that we're meeting that, they have a great program and they've got a great outcome for their clients, but they just don't have the confidence to charge more. And they don't see the value that they're offering to their clients. And so we help them kind of back into that and figure out a way to justify in their mind how much to charge for this course. Mm. And it's a process of mindset, and it's a process of understanding your value. And it's not about asking your colleagues or you're looking at your competition, see what they are charging, or asking your spouse, or thinking, okay, well, I'm comfortable with this price. That has nothing to do with it. What you have to really do is take a look at what the value is you're bringing to your client, and ask your client what that's worth. you know? So it's when you look at it that way, like, I don't know, to take a client with a really good outcome that you're offering, project out 2 to 5 years, and then look backwards again and see over that 5-year period of time the differences in their life that have happened because they experienced your training and your course. And you look at all that stuff that they've, maybe their relationships have improved. They've, spending less time at work. They're making more money. They're if you're, doing health related stuff, maybe they're, they're eliminated medications they're taking, or, all kinds of really cool benefits that don't directly relate to your course necessarily, but are definitely attributable to the time they spent with you. And you take all that into consideration and look back and say, okay, well, what was the value to that person? And, was it, a lot of people say, oh, it was priceless, Well, okay, let's put a number on it. Was it 100,000? Was it 50? Was it 30?
It's not a MasterCard ad, right?
Yeah. Well, even if you get it down and say, well, okay, well, even if it was $30,000 over the 5-year period, if it was that impactful and it was worth that, okay, well, if I do consulting work, and as a consultant, I can realistically go in, and if I save a company, say $100,000 by implementing something for them and saving them money, I can charge them 10% of that very easily. So, $100,000, it's a $10,000 charge, right? So
do you find a lot of coaches sort of aren't very clear on their prices when they first set that up?
Absolutely. That's a big area where they just don't understand their value. In fact, our whole program, we call it VFT, and it's value, funnels, and traffic. And the first part of our whole training is talking about value. So it's critical to understand what that value is to even get into the realm of wanting to offer a high ticket course. And it's most of it, 99% of it, is the problem is between the ears, in the coach. It's not the client. The client, once you set it up right, the client's like, yeah, I want the outcome. So they'll pay for the $3,000 to get the outcome. They don't care. Just like the ambulance driver, they don't care that the ambulance can go 45 miles an hour or 120 miles an hour. They just want to get to the destination, and they'll pay to get there if you've got the vehicle to get them there, right?
And I think part of the problem is 80% of what it goes wrong in your business is inside your business. It's internal, not external.
Right. So we and what we do is we create a system. So it's all set up so that it's just, plug and play, and very simple.
Right. So have you? I'm just trying to think of what if someone was to go through the process, and I think one of the things that they need to do is get very clear on their price, get very clear on their value.
Yeah.
And you talk about courses and stuff. So a lot of the times, a lot of people are happy to deliver one-on-one, but they never think about converting that information into a more of a scalable course, and it doesn't have to be that sophisticated, at the end of the day. But a couple of extra videos or that sort of content is a hell of a lot easier. I was just doing something the other day where we were onboarding some clients for Agile CRM, and I decided that what we'd do is we'd create a membership site and give them all the information, give them the videos, and that adds huge value at the other end, and that means it takes time that you normally would have to spend with people into a more automated way. And and a lot of people I find with coaching is they're kind of reluctant to make that first step. What do I create? And then they start thinking about it too big. I'm going to create 16 modules and I'm going to do this and do that. And so they think, well, okay, that thing will never happen.
Right. Yeah, well, we went through that too. We started with our process. We started with we made our first course outline was 6.5 pages, just tons and tons of stuff in there. And we just looked at it and go, this is not going to happen. So we ripped it all apart, and we ended up with 3/4 of a page now. Right. And it's still, as we got people going through it, they're going, wow, this is a great course, but it's a lot of work. And again, they don't want more work. If they don't want to be bombarded with stuff to do, they just want the outcome.
Yes.
Right? So if you can create a course that's very succinct and doesn't have a lot of moving parts and gives them the outcome that they're looking for, and it solves their problem, they'll pay you for it. It's like they don't want more stuff to do. They just want to get the outcome. So think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I've seen. I've taken on a few courses that sort of in the industry, and some of these courses, they're they're massive. There are so many modules and so many steps in it. I can't see a lot of people finishing it because they become overwhelmed with the whole thing. It's like, well, really, for the fast starters, you need to kind of do something, get some results, and then swing back, because sometimes trying to perform and create this perfect, course that's going to be massive may not even sell. So
right.
Start simple and start small and grow with it. Don't expect to, produce this, TV quality system that people don't care about anyway. At the end of the day, they're not going to listen.
Right. Yeah. No. It's like it brings to mind I had a teacher one time that told a story, and we asked him how he set his grades. How do you assign your grades? Because we were doing these big term papers, these big reports. And he said, well, what I do is I'll take everybody's report, I'll put it in a big bin, I'll go stand at the top of the stairs, and I'll throw them down the stairs. And the heaviest ones go the furthest, and those are the ones that get the A's. And it's like, okay, well, nobody gives a crap about how all the stuff you're putting in there. And
could be the same word over and over again.
Yeah.
That's a no system, right?
Right. So I think if you can give them an outcome and do it in a way that's at least painful, you're going to be a rock star, because people will get the outcome. They'll want to give you a testimonial. They'll want to refer you to their friends. And that's really what you want to do. You're not looking to give them tons of value and say, well, I need to have them do, read 3 books and have, do 25 papers and write 6 pages of stuff a day. And, you don't need them doing all that stuff just to get to the outcome. You really got to focus on, okay, what's the least, the critical path? What's the least amount of effort to get them to the outcome that I got to do to get them there? And if you can come up with an elegant solution for that, that's really where you're going to earn your high ticket fee.
Because you're going to be outcome based. So at the end of the day, if the clients are going to get success, then and of course you're charging more money, it puts more onus onto you to provide a bigger outcome, I think, and rather than overcomplicate it with too much content.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, and
giving value that way.
And make it fun too. Make it entertaining. Like the group environment that we've got. We started chatting about that a little bit, going from a one-on-one into a group. We found in our groups that it's dynamic. It's fun. There's the people that are there are motivated to be there. They're they're interested in learning. They put the effort in, and they interact with each other, and they actually help each other out, and they self-manage. It's like a community, and it's just turning out to be a lot of fun. And because we in our program we charge up front the fees. Mm-hmm. So once they're in there, there's no talking about money. Nobody cares anymore. All they're looking for is to roll up their sleeves and get the outcome done. And
I think that's important. And I find that probably as a good saying that I've always said in my life is that poor people get paid after the job.
Yep, they do. Yep, absolutely.
And it may be rude,
that's a big lesson. That's a big lesson, John. Yeah, and if you got to have the confidence to charge up front and have understanding your value, right? If you don't understand your value, they'll say, well, okay, pay me later.
Yeah, and they never will. Or the problem is it gets complicated because they start nitpicking and going, well, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. Well, the reality was that they were so focused on the money that they forgot about doing the jobs that they needed to do. And I say to a lot of people, at the end of the day, pay up front, get it over and done with. I don't have to worry about the admin. You just focus. We both focus on the outcome, we can forget about the money, and I think that's an important thing. People think that they'll charge after the job or they'll 50% down and 50% later, but the cold hard reality is that that just becomes a nightmare, and you probably find that some reason along the way they'll find a way not to pay the extra money.
Yep.
And
yep.
then you think, well, what do I do all that work for? And I think that's the number one thing I see a lot of people do. They don't charge, and they're not confident to ask for the money. Yep. And I think that's important, and be prepared to walk away when they don't pay the money.
Yeah. Well, that brings up another good point for me is think about the process. You create a process to enroll clients into your course, and you don't worry about the outcome. Let the numbers take care of themselves. So remember we talked about the enroll to your goal program that we put together, and in that strategy call that we do, you're going to enroll 2 to 3 people in your course, and that strategy call is usually 40 to 60 minutes. And it's scripted, and we go through this process during this call to basically qualify a potential enrollee or prospect to whether or not we want to invite them to join us in the course. And the goal of that call isn't to close them. It isn't to sell them anything. It isn't. You don't want to push anybody into it, because you want people who are really motivated and people who want to be there in your course, right? So you're actually pushing them away, saying, "Well, we only take so many people, and you're not quite qualifying, so I'm not going to invite you." And it puts you in the power seat, and you don't worry about the outcome of selling. You worry about whether or not you're following the process.
Yes.
And that's the key: is follow the process and don't worry about the outcome.
And I think that's important, because at the end of the day, then if your process is right, then you're really not going to have the problems of trying to close them up front and trying to get them convinced, because they wouldn't have gone through that process anyway. And the more they commit, the more time they spend in that process, the more likely they're going to proceed at the end. Because people don't invest time unless they feel like they're going to get something out of it or it's worth doing. Otherwise, they won't pitch up to your webinar. They won't book the call. They won't go to those extra stages, because either they know that they haven't got the money or whatever, or they're not interested. At least then you've got rid of those prospects, which you normally would spend a lot of time up front talking to.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yep. The qualification. That's one of the things that I learned in my decades of selling is qualification is 90% of the challenge of selling something to someone is being in a position to offer something that someone wants. And understand where they're coming from, so that you can offer to them in a way they want to buy it.
So a question I would like to ask is, what's one piece of advice you would give someone that was, say, maybe getting started into the coaching world or struggling or whatever, but what was if you were to do it tomorrow, what would you say to your son or whatever to say, hey, don't do this or do this? What do you think?
I would say the very first thing, and I asked my daughter this, I said, I sit down, ask them in a quiet way, what's your passion? What do you love to do? What would you do with your life if you could do it and you could just not worry about being paid for it, but you just do it even if you weren't getting paid? What would that be? That's the very first thing that I talk to my kids about, and people that ask me, then go from there. If you can follow your passion, and then what you do is you find your passion, and then you find the white space. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about that in his book. Is find the white space. Somebody who's, you have a market for it. There's got to be a market for it somewhere on the internet, and you become the expert. So you find the white space, a place where there's nobody else playing there, and then you claim that space and you own it. And then every day you spend becoming an expert at that. And then you take that and you build it, and you give. The strategy is give, ask. So 3/4 of the time you're giving, and 25% of the time you ask. And in today's environment, it's like big corporations are all about selling all the time. Sell, buy for me. Well, that doesn't work.
Also got the budgets to do that.
Yeah, right. But today you could become an expert. You can find a niche, and you can become an expert at something. There's so many coaches that do specialized things out there that are really cool. And because of the internet, you can access a market anywhere in the world. I mean, there's 127 countries around the world that speak English, and there's more countries than that around the world that if you are multilingual, you can sell them anywhere. So, that's what I would say. Find a passion, find a niche, find something that you love to do. You do it even if you didn't get paid, and then go own it. And then you'll find a market to become an expert, and you'll help people with whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because not necessarily what you're good at doesn't mean that what works. I mean, I think what happens is if you start doing what you're good at but you're not passionate about it, what it becomes, you become a prisoner of your own jail cell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so many of us now, there's a couple of folks in our course now that are doing job search. They help other people find jobs. And the biggest complaint of recruiters and employees and employers is that they're in jobs they hate. It's a huge number. It's like 80% of the people that have jobs hate their jobs.
Wow.
And that's crazy. You're spending so much time of your life doing that. It's just crazy to be there. And I'm as guilty as anybody. I spent a long time doing stuff I didn't really love doing, and
I reckon I've always had something I've done, and I think after every 10 years I need to hit the reset button. But what I found is if I get up and get out of bed in the morning, I really don't want to do it. Then it's time to stop.
Yeah,
because you're in your mind, you're saying I don't want to do this, but you get up and do it anyway, and then in 5 or 10 years you're gonna have that regret that you wish I just pulled the plug then and there, because you're rationalising and thinking, well, I've got to make money, I've got to do whatever. But sometimes you got to take the leap forward and go, no, I'm gonna change this because I don't want to do this. It's not my passion. I might be good at it, but I don't want to keep doing it.
Right.
And I think that's the danger.
I'm just I'm going to be 59 this year. So, I mean, it's a lot of people are looking at, they look at me, Jim, shouldn't you think about being retired? And I don't know. I'm having too much fun. I'm just enjoying the heck out of doing this kind of stuff, the digital marketing and being involved with, young people that are just going for life and really inspiring and inspired to do really cool things. And I love being around that kind of person. It's
interesting you said something about the big wide world, because probably about a year ago when I was looking at LinkedIn and started to sort of figure I was going to master it, one of the things that, it's bizarre when you look at it, but one of the things that didn't occur to me was that how big of a world it was. And so my predominant marketplace was quite local. I was focused on the local chambers and just in Sydney area itself. And then I started sort of viewing profiles overseas and started getting in clients, and I probably estimate now that well over 50% of my client base isn't in Australia anymore.
Yeah.
And it was because I realised that there's plenty of people in the world that want your particular thing. And I think that's part of the big problem is you go, but I look around and I can only see so many people in my local area that I can help. But the reality is you create a course, you create a system, you can help anybody on the planet. That, in that case, maybe it can speak English or maybe you speak another language, it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, there's 7 billion people on the planet, right? So... And I think almost all of them got smartphones, right? So, there's a way to reach them somehow on some device somehow.
In the United States, the average is, I think, 2 or 3 phones now per person.
Well, I think I went to a seminar once and they said, put your hand up how many devices you've got in your house that are connected to the internet. And it goes 1, 2, 3, and it says, and it'll keep going up. And as I go up, drop your hands. And well over 50% of the room would have still had their hands up when they had 7 or 8 devices.
Yeah.
Because when you think about your TV, nowadays even your fridge is probably connected to the internet. Everything's connected to the internet in some way. And I think that's the key to the whole thing is how can you engage that person on their own platform? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Twitter? Where are they? And just own one of those social media platforms rather than trying to be on all of them. Because I find a lot of people try to think, I'm going to be on Twitter, I'm going to be on Facebook, I'm going to be on Instagram, I'm going to be here and everywhere. They spread themselves so thin that they have no message.
Right. No, you got to... What I advise is pick one. Pick one and be really good at that when you start. Just pick one. And just be really, really good at that. And then share other stuff. Share it with... Get a Hootsuite or get a tool that you can use to leverage that.
Leverage that process.
Yeah, and then...
one of my pet hates is that when I go to someone's website and they've got all the social media buttons up the bottom, and typically it's Twitter, so I click on their Twitter link and they've got 7 followers, and they haven't put their photo up yet. And so to me, I say to clients, if you're not going to grow your Twitter followers, take it away. Don't tell anybody about it till you have.
Right.
Because it's embarrassing. Because people go, so if that's the platform they like, and they go to that platform and they see you've got 7 followers, you're completely destroyed in their mind. There's no way coming back from that.
Yeah, you called their bluff, huh?
Yeah.
You clicked on it.
Yeah, they researched you, right? And if you give them 7 followers, you go, well, it can't be that exciting. He's only got 7 followers. And they really haven't got a good page. And I think that's the danger of the internet is people can check you out.
Yeah. Did you go to our Twitter site? I think we probably got 7 or 8 on there.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's normal, right? I mean, we got a software solution that grows Twitter followers. But in a targeted way. So we follow people who follow. Let's say you're interested in digital marketer, for example. We'll follow everybody that follows a digital marketer, and bizarrely they follow you back.
Yeah.
And I built something like 5,500 followers on my Twitter. Following plus a couple of other accounts we run, so we're probably about 20,000 followers sitting there. But when we post something about the target market, we get a lot of click-throughs.
Ah, okay.
Right, and that's the secret to, like, say, Twitter, and it's the secret of any platform, really. But the thing is,
Get the
we've collected
engagement.
people who are interested in that, right? We didn't collect all these crazy people that are just sending out rubbish all the time.
That's, boy, I tell you what, that's where the value is right there, is having an audience that will engage. That's gold. That's what you want.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that is fundamental, is you come back to the start point when people say, look, without choosing that avatar properly, you're going to be just punching data out to everybody and you'll get no response. And they go, why don't I get a response? Well, it's because you're not talking to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking to yourself.
Yeah,
Particularly
spending all this time talking to yourself.
Exactly
Now, that's why
right.
it's so important to go out and find a passion and own that niche. Find a niche and become an expert at it and own it.
And be
And
passionate
be the
about
world's best at it. Just commit yourself to, I'm going to be the world's best at this.
it.
Go for it.
Makes sense, yeah. So if someone wants to get in touch with you and get no more information and sort of figure out what you're doing, can you give me some places they can go? Obviously not your Twitter account.
Well, yeah, Twitter. That's a work in process. I think Facebook. We got a pretty good program on Facebook right now. So
Right.
Let's see. We'll do the Facebook. Let me pull that up. We've got our training camp. We call it Training Camp for High Ticket Selling Secrets. So that's facebook.com /groups/high ticket selling secrets.
Right, yep.
Yeah,
So
and
you're
you can
using
go
the
there
group to
and
leverage. Yeah, that's great.
go there and ask to join. It's a private group, but we'd love to have you come and check it out. And if you feel like you'd like to, want to learn more about high ticket selling, then join. And we teach stuff all the time. We have all kinds of really cool stuff going on.
Nothing to lose and everything to gain, right?
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, thanks, Jim, for taking some time to talk to us today, and we'll put the links up and everything on the podcast for anybody who clicks on it.
Okay.
So they can,
Beautiful.
in case they didn't quite get it, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Very good, John. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You've just been listening to another great Evolvepreneur podcast interview. We hope you enjoyed it. Please visit evolvepreneur.biz today to find out more about our online community and how you can take part.